You have entered the Plumbing Business Success Zone, teaching entrepreneurs the business of plumbing. This is Potty Talk Live, recorded live on Facebook every week. Type 5 in the comments to subscribe to the show. And now your host, Richard Behney, the $1 Million Plumber.
Hey, Plumbing Bros. Hey, welcome to the 158th episode of Potty Talk Live. That's right. All right. Hey, we got a special Power Tools edition. All right, tonight here. Hey, we got a cool guest who's going to be with us here. You're going to want to miss this one. You want to check this one out. Hey, you ever have trouble hiring?
Never. We never had one single issue.
You always had. It was easy. It's a breeze. It's breezy to hire, right?
We got guys lining up. Right.
Yeah. Isn't that the case?
Not so much.
Hey, we hear it all the time. And I know, have you bought into the lie that you just can't find a good guy, good plumbers? But that is a lie, by the way. Okay? The problem is we always wait until the last second. Isn't that right? The lovely Laura's in the house here.
Hey, baby.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing great. Hopefully everything's going to work tonight. We've got some weird things with our new stuff, but that's all right.
Is there ghosts in the machine here? What's
there's
something going
gremlins.
on? All right. Well, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Chuck, welcome. Glad you're here.
Yeah.
All right. Good to see you, man. Mm-hmm. All right. So, hey, this whole thing about hiring, okay? It's one of the big issues, okay? But we're gonna have a specialist in here. Look, when we talk about this, you're always hiring, creating a culture of hiring, or always recruiting.
Always recruit. That's better.
Always, that's a better way. I get a better way to put it. Always recruiting. You always want to be recruiting. Just like you're always looking for customers, you always want to be recruiting. So how can we do that? All right, we got the solution here for you. We got the expert here, and the solution will be on in here shortly here.
Yeah.
Hey, reminder.
Yes.
All right. Hey, it's got to type 5.
5 to subscribe.
5 to subscribe to Potty Talk Live so you never miss an episode of Potty Talk Live. Or what?
I'm Lance. And I'm Kelly. And we own Aspen Mountain Plumbing in Rock Springs, Wyoming. And we watch Potty Talk Live every night. Because if you don't, you're going to die.
Yeah. Yeah, your head will be hanging on there. on the dead
love those
plumbing business wall of shame. All right. That's Lance and Kelly, all right?
Lance and Kelly Ball.
And the boys there. I wonder.
Rock Springs, Wyoming.
God's
Wyoming.
Country. That is God's country. It's beautiful out there. All right. We stayed overnight one time in Rock Springs right there.
Didn't even stop by and say hi to them.
We didn't stop, right. We were on the way up to Jackson Hole. All right. Hey, that's a whole other story. But I wonder if they have their hands full. Hey, are we going to have a picture of the boys there? 3 boys. You think they have their hands full?
And a business.
All right. And they're a plumbing power couple. All right. They're getting it done. All right. So, hey, there's no excuses for the rest of us. Just take a look at them. All right. That was cool.
That was very cool. Oops, wrong run. There we go.
Okay. What we
5
have?
to subscribe.
5 to subscribe.
Never
There we go. Was
episode.
that one of the ghosts in the machine there that was kind of messing with things? Is it going to be one of those nights? I feel good here. We got the windows open. I don't know if you hear.
Yeah.
We had the studio here in our home, and so it's just been nice here. It's a beautiful day, and so we open up the windows. The birds are singing out there. The service they mowed the lawn and stuff today, and all that. So it just has the smell of, freshly cut grass.
Freshly cut
Okay, I got a little bit of spring fever here.
I always have spring fever.
Hey, but I got some for spring fever. Celebrate spring fever.
Okay.
Okay.
What you got?
Before we'll get on here, but I got something for you. If you're looking to win your plumbing business game, all right, I got something here for you. Check this out.
Okay.
Hey, Plumbing Pro, are you struggling to win with your plumbing business? My $1 Million Plumber Playbook, How to Win the Plumbing Business Game. It details all the right moves you got to make to be a successful plumbing entrepreneur and ultimately a plumbing business champion. In this free 10-video e-course, I share with you my game-winning strategies that took me from one-truck rookie to multi-truck, multi-million-dollar plumbing business Hall of Famer. Click the link below and grab your free Playbook e-course now and get your game on. That's right. Get your game on with my free Playbook, where you'll learn all the right moves for you to have a successful plumbing business. All right? If you're just simply type free in the comments, FREE, or go to www.freeplaybooknow.com to get your free Playbook Now. Okay. All right. Hey, is our special guest in?
Well, we're going to see what's going to happen here.
Let's bring him on. We'll just go play it by ear. We got gremlins happening. We have Mr. Ryan Kohler, founder and president of ApplicantPro. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Doing great, man. You looking good?
Yeah.
Looking sharp, man.
Yep.
Well, welcome to the show. All right.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
All right, man. Hey, so you heard us talking here in the pre-show. We were talking about it, and one of the big concerns out there, with the guys, the companies, I just can't find good help. I can't find good plumbers. Okay, that's just, and of course we always wait. I did it. Ryan, I'm going to admit, we talked and I did it back in the day. I waited to the last second until I needed somebody. I needed that plumber, okay, and then I went looking for him. Okay, but that doesn't work. So we talk about always being in a constant state of recruiting, just like we're always recruiting new customers. We always want to be in a state of recruiting, all right, new plumbers. But it can be, for us guys when we're starting out, and even for larger companies, but being a couple guys, one truck, two truck, three trucks, having the time to always be hiring, recruiting, that kind of thing. I love what you've put together here, and so I'm gonna just kind of leave it over to you to get us started and tell us about the easy solution. I wish I would have known you back in the day, man.
That would have been good. We don't like that.
So I tend to be a metaphor guy, right? So I like to find comparables. So I really like your comparison there to generating customers is a great way to think about it. I mean, just think about how outrageous it would be if somebody said, we only turn on our website when we need customers, and we disable the website and walk away when we don't. You would never find a business owner who's like, I have enough customers, we're good. Like, stop sending us leads.
Right.
You would never, ever, ever do that.
Right.
In the same way, look at your kind of your core equipment of running your plumbing company. Think about your van or your truck, right? And you're like, look, we're only going to maintain it when we're busy, but when we're not busy, we don't even think about it.
Right.
And we just hope the engine starts when it's time to go out and use it again. Like you would never do that. That like this up and down cycle that you would go through would
doesn't
be
work.
just
Right.
extremely frustrating. I mean, you could work, but you'd basically be band-aiding everything all the time. You'd constantly be, I actually grew up on a farm, and so that's actually what we do. It seems like you're always stopping what you want to do to go fix stuff. And so you can never get anything done consistently because something's always busted, and you start up in the spring and you're like, great, all of our stuff is broken. We got to start over again here. And so, it makes sense. Usually what happens from a business standpoint is we put out fires. So we spend all day long putting out fires, and there's some fires that you kind of let burn.
Oh my, there we go.
Problem.
All right, we're breaking up there a little bit. Are we
There we
there?
go.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, we try to put out the fires, or it's kind of the greasy, what is it? Greasy wheel gets or the squeaky wheel gets the
squeaky
grease.
wheel.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? Which is great if it's an ancillary part of your business, if it's something that doesn't matter. But in the same way that your van matters and lead flow matters, your talent is the engine that makes this business go.
Mm-hmm.
And waiting until you need it, until it's squeaking loud, causes us not just like frustration because we can't find good people. It also means we end up hiring bad people.
Exactly.
We end up picking whatever's available at the time.
The warm body.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the warm body, and then we're surprised that it doesn't work.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as much I've got clients all over in all different industries, and one of them calls it like pre-hiring. They're like, look, we always have this ad, and we're always pre-hiring, say, bank tellers, because we know at some point we're going to need one, and so we want to kind of warm these people up. If you have the money for it and the cash flow, then you're pre-hiring for some of your positions. Maybe we don't need somebody yet. It's not a blazing inferno. But the fact that it's hard to fill one of these positions means we need to be more proactive with saying we're leading in to our hiring process so that it's not a fire alarm or a fire drill.
Exactly.
And so that's really it. Right?
So it's getting the guys to think about that. So it's the process.
Mm-hmm.
And I start, Ryan, this is where I come from. So I get it, still in the truck or just on this kind of stuff. And we're actually even feeling, we're lucky, that we feel like we just have enough work for this week. And then what if there's no work next week? So we get caught in this way of thinking, and it also gets comfortable. I got enough work for the guys I have. And we think, well, this is a good crew. This is where we always get hit, Well, these guys are good guys. They're never going to leave me. That's going to work out. But one, decides that he wants to move to, South America, and another one just disappears, and that kind of all of a sudden it just
one's
falls
in
apart.
jail.
Yeah, one's in jail. Right. Right. And so all of a sudden I need somebody, and then I hear all the time. This is and I'll say it because this is where I come from. It's an excuse, that there just aren't any good guys out there. Well, no, not right when you're looking for one. You want someone right now, and so I like what with the process of what you have in place there that allows us to be able to reach everybody.
Right. So. Yeah, there's actually kind of two pieces for it, and clearly, so from my world, I'm in tech world, which is very different than running a plumbing company, but the pressures to grow for us is crazy. There is constant pressure to grow. And one of the biggest analogies that I like, and this is just a mindset shift, is kind of are you playing not to lose, or are you playing to win?
Yeah.
And that causes you to shift suddenly when you say, wait a minute, we're playing to win, which means we're going to have to pre-hire, we're going to have to be overstaffed. And so instead of trying to solve the problem of maintaining a low enough staff level based on the job demand, you instead reverse it and say, I'm going to have to go out and hunt more work. It's much easier for you to hunt more work to fill these people with work than it is for you to suddenly get slammed with work and not be able to find somebody. And I know you do a ton of work and a ton of help and knowledge consulting around this. I bet you would agree. It's way easier to find some more customers than it is to find another worker. And so, but that requires a mindset change where you're saying, what I need is to have an amazing team, and we'll call this a talent engine. We have the ability to attract, to pick, and to keep this group of people together who are awesome. Now let's go hunt for work, or let's find ways to optimize our revenue per customer or revenue per visit, or those types of things. But because that is an easier headache to solve. There's so much you can do around those things. But that really requires a change of focus of this. We're playing to win. And what it takes to win is a winning team and a winning talent group. That is the core asset you want to build. If I have a winning team, if I have a group of people that are awesome, if I have a offering, or if the experience of working for me is better than the experience of working for anybody else, then I'm going to attract people who are going to beg to work for me. And that's actually, I think there's a lot of stuff that's like in the customer service world around saying, if we focus on taking care of our employees, then they'll take care of our customers. And if they take care of our customers, then the customers will take care of getting us new customers. But that really is from our standpoint where we look at it. Now, a lot of feedback I know, and I'll kind of trumpet here, a lot of feedback's going to be, well, we're small. We aren't a big giant company. We don't have those kind of resources. We're a nobody. We don't have the same power. That sounds awesome, but we don't have that same piece. And that tends to be a lot of the mindset. We're David, and these other guys are Goliath.
Right.
If you actually dig into that story, and there's a book, David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell. Yeah. That doesn't matter whether you're a Bible scholar or not, but he's a phenomenal book, and effectively he follows almost kind of some of this Stoic philosophy of looking at it saying, David actually had the advantage because he changed the playing field. He didn't accept the fight that was there. And so for me, I look at it that same way of saying, look, I'm a small guy too. I'm competing against people who are traded on NASDAQ, who have taken hundreds of millions of dollars of venture funding, and I've built a company out of my pocket with nothing. And most of that came by saying, look, I'm going to pick what's different about me. I'm going to pick the things that I can do that these bigger companies can't. I can, as a CEO, I can talk to customers, but a big company CEO would never talk to a customer.
Ryan,
he doesn't understand.
I got to stop. I don't mean to jump in here, but guys, Ryan, if you hear nothing else from Ryan here, that was just a huge nugget of gold. If we don't want to get into hiring, I just love that's why we're talking. That's why I love talking with you, Ryan. Just understand the mind shift there of how you can change the playing field as a little guy. The opportunity, Ryan. That's the things I try to get my guys to see. In fact, in our coaching and our training and that kind of stuff, half our time will be spent on how we're thinking up here, because that's where the game is won. Because if you can get that mind shift, you literally, even as a little guy, can be have an extreme advantage. It's just thinking differently up here.
It's mind trash.
I love that.
If you really look at it that way, it's this concept that every blessing has a curse and every curse has a blessing.
Right.
You just have to be willing to look at it. So when you give me the list of our bigger competitors have X, Y, and Z, if I force myself to, I could actually give you why each of those things is a weakness.
Yes.
They're bigger. That makes them slow. That makes them unable to change. It means they have red tape. I'm small, but that means I'm agile. I can move around. I can shift our offering on the fly. It means as a business owner, I actually hear my customers, and the CEOs of those big companies are looking at a spreadsheet. They don't understand the pain of the customer. They haven't talked to a customer in years. And so that is really, if you flip those around, that's really what it takes. Is it says, look, we're going to instead focus on what we have leverage on. And usually that's going to come down to, we can treat our employees like people. We can give them opportunities to grow and to engage with a business owner, or potentially even become entrepreneurs on their own. Mm-hmm. We can treat these people like real people instead of treating them like a number. And it goes the same for the customer. That is usually, if you look at any disruptive business in an entrenched field, you will usually find that the way they disrupted it was through superior customer knowledge. It always comes down to, they knew the customer better and they made the customer feel like somebody cared about them.
Right.
Almost every single time, Uber looked at it and said, the taxi experience sucks. It's a terrible experience. We will provide a different experience. Airbnb, all of these guys really, they dug in and said, we will know our customers better than anybody. And so we will then be able to hear what they say. And when you do that, then you create strong relationship bonds. And that's where referrals come from. Referrals come from strong relationship bonds with your customer, that they feel like you care. And employees are no different. Strong employees come from strong relationships with these people. You know them personally, you understand their plight. When something happens to them, you support them. Bigger companies would not do those kind of things. Right. They would have policies against those kind of things. You get flexibility instead of pay. People love flexibility. You give all these things that are different. And that's the number one thing. If you're going to do that strategy, then that means you have to quit copying everybody else in the space.
All right,
let's stop.
Let's stop right. Or repeat that. Another nugget of gold there, guys. We haven't got to the hiring stuff, or how I can recruit in the first place. Stop copying. We talk about it. Stop copying, looking at, well, I'm not the big guy, or well, this is the way I got to do it, or I got to use these prices, or I got to stop copying the other guys. I mean, that's a beautiful nugget of gold there.
If you say, I don't have the tools, go back to David and Goliath. I don't have a sword. I don't have a shield. Well, if I then copy everything else Goliath did, it's not going to work. So if you're going to say, I don't have the things that these guys have, I don't have the funding, I don't have the brand recognition, I don't have X, Y, and Z, then that also means you can't copy their tactics, because those tactics work for them because they have those things. Mm-hmm. So instead you walk over on the other side and you say, well, what do I have? I have superior customer knowledge, I have superior customer access, I have guys, we work as a family and a team, I have these types of things. Great, then what are the tactics that work on that? What that means is you do want to copy somebody. You just don't want to copy big giant companies. You instead go look outside of the plumbing space and say, well, where else is a smaller competitor winning against bigger entrenched competitors? And what were their tactics? And how can we steal their tactics and switch them into plumbing? And so when you steal their tactics of marketing, of hiring, of those kind of things, then suddenly those start working, because they work with your strengths. But if you steal tactics that you don't have strengths on, like David could have stolen like the training of Goliath, but he couldn't even pick up his sword.
Right. He couldn't even wear the armor. He couldn't wear the armor. He couldn't move. He wasn't used to moving with it. Yep.
I think the benefit of working with you and being in a group like your group that you have and being in those things is, that's scary, because what you're actually doing is saying, now I'm going to be acting different than the big guys in the space. I'm going to be standing out on the edge of the cliff by myself.
Right. Well, here we have Thais, who says, Thais, I'm sorry, Thais. The law, and here's how it usually works here, okay? And Thais, you got to look at it differently here. Thais is saying the law here allows one apprentice per licensed plumber. There's a shortage on licensed plumbers. I'm stuck. Well, no, there's licensed plumbers working in other companies who may be unhappy in that environment. And we need to reach them and let them know that the type of environment, they may be more attracted to your environment, okay, to who you're small, just what we're talking about, Okay, we're not going to assume that just because they may be working in this other big company that they're happy there. That's the lie.
Right.
So,
and really that comes down to the concept is that all people are the same. All plumbers want the same thing from work.
Right.
All plumbers want the same thing from a job. All plumbers want these things. And so instead, if you really look at that and say, well, that's not really true. All entrepreneurs don't want the same thing.
Right.
All people don't want the same thing. It gets outside of plumbing, though. It gets into going back to it. Do you really understand your employees that work for you and why they like working for you? Because what we want to do is we want to find employees who want what I have. So that flexibility, it might be, and it will be, the way to get to it is you go talk to those plumbers or go read the Glassdoor and Indeed reviews at the big companies and listen to all the things that people are griping about. Mm-hmm. So maybe they're griping about red tape, maybe they're griping about their manager, maybe they're griping about whatever it is. Just go get all the gripes and figure out what could you do where that gripe would go away and amplify that. Amplify what people hate. So like in our space, programmers get worked into the ground. Mm-hmm. And so we go, well, if we controlled it and said you're not going to work more than 40 hours a week, we're different. Or we say we're going to work from home and there's not going to be crazy pressure. We're going to have something different, or we're going to allow. Okay.
Well, Ryan, you know how we attracted it. Here's the thing. This is the big thing in our industry, on call. We got to work 24/7. And we get into even within our private coaching groups, the masterminds and others. You got to be on call. You got to be on 24/7. You got to be. Every guy hates on call. Most every plumber hates working on call. And if you're on calls being where I got to take I'm on the call, I'm taking evenings all this week. So, I'm at my son's ball game and I got to go repair a toilet, at 7:30. I get called out to that. Or I'm working all weekend, working on the holidays, that kind of thing. We attracted everybody when I went to no on call. I just went on no on call. Did I maybe miss some dollars? Yeah, I didn't pick up some dollars. It really didn't affect my business, but everyone wanted to work for Attaboy Plumbing because we didn't do on call. I had guys crying in my office, Ryan, grown men with tats that look like I wouldn't want to be, I wouldn't want to tick them off, break down in tears because they didn't have to do on call anymore. That was different than the big companies. And I remember being in the meetings, guys, and I'm talking to my guys and gals out there that with the PHCC meetings and that kind of stuff, and they would find out how are you surviving without doing on call? How are you surviving? I was surviving great, and I was getting their guys. They were wanting to come work for Attaboy Plumbing. So it's that thing.
And you know what? So let's dig in on that one really specifically, because it goes into the same thing of what we see happen, and this is across other industries too, is they say a job as a plumber requires to be on call, and we say there's only one job. That one job requires all these things. It requires day work and on-call work. And our fear is we won't get anybody who's willing to be on call if we don't force everybody to be on call. But you could easily take that job and cut it in half and say we have our daytime plumbers and we don't require on-call and we still all these people. And you take just the on-call ones and say, cool, we're going to hire somebody to do on-call and we're going to pay them more money to do that job. It's the same thing you do with swing shift. It's the same thing you do with graveyard. It's the same thing you do. Housekeeping's no different in hotels. They say the same thing. They say, we have a shortage of housekeepers. And you say, well, you're making them all work weekends. And they say, well, that's because nobody will work weekends. But if you actually cut the job in half and you had daytime housekeepers and weekend housekeepers and then jack up the pay on the weekend ones, suddenly you find people who would be willing to do that for the extra money. But they're choosing that job and saying, look, I'll do on-call plumbing because during the day I work at Home Depot, or during the day I do something else, and I want to make some extra money to go on vacation, to buy a new house, blah, 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 blah. But the key is the motivation is different. Right. Now you've got a job for daytime plumbing where their motivation is being home with their family because they have kids, they want to go to games, they want to do whatever. And your on-call plumbers have a different motivation. They're like, I want to make a ton of cash, and I don't have a life. And by segmenting those into two different groups, we can now write job ads that attract those specific people because they're very specific advertisements we're running that attract a different persona, a different type of person. In the same way that you wouldn't try to use the same ad to target somebody who's doing a new home plumbing versus somebody who has a clogged toilet, you have different marketing messages for those because their pain is different. Right. Well, again, hiring is just marketing. That's all this is just marketing, which starts with understanding the target person and then knowing their pains and writing content or making an offer that is compelling to their pains. and somebody wants to make extra money, it's compelling to pick up those extra shifts. But that's different than somebody who's a family man who has kids in soccer and wants to be home in the evenings.
Right.
And so by breaking that job in half and making 2 jobs, you now have 2 jobs that are insanely compelling to the target you're after. But big companies won't do that. And most of this is status quo and fear. Yes. They're afraid of what will happen if they can't figure it out. But embrace that fear already and go solve the other side of the equation, because it's actually easier to solve when you have super happy employees who love doing their job because it fits their livelihood. Nobody's going to dare do, like you said, people are coming to me saying, how do you survive by doing it this way? I survive because I'm the only one doing it this way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because nobody else has the guts to do it. The benefit of being small. Oh, go ahead.
Well, it was even the day after we sold our plumbing business. You know that, and we sold, and even up to we were with a group of people on a trip of other plumbing business owners from our area, and they brought up that how do you work without doing after hours on call emergency work. They were dumbfounded by it. These were good sized companies in our area. Yeah. So guys, it's just thinking out the box, and just what we talked about here. And I know there's more. There's a whole lot more there. But let me get to Ryan. I don't have the time. I don't know how to write. How can I reach these people? How can I get? So what ApplicantPro? What does ApplicantPro do for me?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes as a small business owner, what we try to do is we take these ancillary pieces of the job and we try to just do it ourselves. We're basically trying to duct tape it together. Mm-hmm. And so you might do your own bookkeeping. Heaven forbid you don't do your own taxes, right? Like you try to take on some of these things that you're trying to do on your own because it seems outrageous to pay somebody to do it. But generally speaking, professionals earn their keep because of what they do. And hiring isn't something you do once a year like taxes. This is like a fundamental core thing to your business. And so what we found is that small businesses try to do it on their own, which leads them to copying their bigger competitors. And nobody's validated that what they're doing even works. Right. Like nobody's ever called up your competitor and been like, hey, I'm about ready to copy your job ad. Can you tell me if you're getting applicants or not?
How's that working for you?
Assume that it's working first. And so we copy a failed process. Yep. And so for us on our side, we've looked at it and said, look, hiring is marketing. And if that's the case, then job ads are marketing pieces, and sourcing, all this stuff is about marketing. But unfortunately, if you have an HR person, they are not marketers. And most likely you're so small, you don't have it. You might not even be a marketer or understand the ins and outs. And so it's much cheaper to just come to us and say, look, show us the plan. We'll do the we'll still have you do the administrative side of it, posting a job and checking the boxes and facilitating our methodology, but you should use our methodology instead of trying to guess at it. And so that's really kind of what sets us apart, is saying we have a specific methodology for hiring. It's about understanding your target market and writing really good job ads. It's about using sources that work, which clearly includes job boards, but it also includes employee referrals and Facebook and social media and Craigslist and all kinds of anything that works, where we're just driving a bunch to the top of the funnel. And like you said, and recruiting all the time, like leaving those jobs out there and refreshing them, because you can't just leave the same stale job out there all the time. Right. It's like you have to adjust the ad. So again, we help write the ads. We help provide the framework. So pretty much any admin person can allocate, 5 hours a week at the most. Usually it's even 5 hours a month to facilitating this recruiting engine so that it stays churning. So that then we have this group of people that we're like, look, this sounds like a great guy. We should go find a spot to stick him or her, because I don't know that person comes along. Now let's go solve the problem of being overstaffed. Right. And Ryan, and this happens. So why don't I push? We talk about this all the time about being getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. What happens in our industry, and it happens in all industries. I'm speaking with the plumbing, especially plumbing, smaller plumbing companies. We get comfortable with just having enough work and enough people, and if you're doing that, you're coasting. And if you're coasting downhill, which means you're busy dying. That's the phrase I use. You're busy dying, okay? And then sadly, that's why 95%, one of the major reasons 95% of all plumbing businesses fail, okay? And of the 5%, 97% of those just live week to week. And that's where a lot of us were, and are, okay? All right? But it doesn't have to be that way. So
Well, what happens too
for
is
sure. Let me just compound on that, right? I mean, that's playing not to lose.
Yes.
Right, I'm playing not to lose, which means I keep my staffing level at the bare minimum, which means my employees are tired, which means we don't have the time to really treat customers well, which harms our reputation, which harms our lead flow. But then we go out and we have to spend money on lead flow instead of allowing organic goodwill or karma or whatever you want to call it. Instead of doing it the right way, which was we're going to play to win, we're going to create an amazing employee experience. We're going to get those employees to create an amazing customer experience. We're going to create some, hopefully, facilitation for referrals. And we're going to build this engine of goodwill or good karma that's going to come in and influence our business. But that does require proactively playing to win.
Right. And there's something amazing. I know that's where I was going with that, because this is the point you're making. I lost count of the guys that would wind up coming from another shop that was the third or fourth guy in a big shop that just wasn't feeling like he was getting the opportunity. And so he brings all this, and I'm really not ready to hire that guy, but I know I got to get this guy. And so I just bring him on. And it's amazing how the work showed up. I mean, because then now you're doing a little bit more marketing. You spend a little more marketing spend just to make sure it happens. And you have the good guy who's actually turning jobs. We talk about, he's not just walking through jobs, he's making work happen. And then it brings the rest of your team up. It's just amazing. It's amazing how that happens. But you got to play to win.
Right. I think it's A, you play to win, and B, the concept that you're ever going to get to the point where it's all humming. In manufacturing, in manufacturing, it's called managing against the constraint, right? You identify what is the constraint in my organization today, and when you solve it, every success will create a new deficit somewhere else. And so then you hire this guy, and that says, cool, recruiting's done, we're good. It created a deficit in lead gen and business. And so now I pointed my focus there, and all of a sudden that became successful, and that's probably going to cause you a deficit in recruiting, and they're going to come back around. This is just a constant. My employees are always like, when are we going to stop changing? And I'm like, when we're done being a business.
Right.
But until then, I would go,
Ryan, I'm sorry, man. You're hitting on all kinds of stuff that we hit on with. I want you guys to hear this guy. This is someone from another industry, and we talk about this with our guys in plumbing power couples who are growing their business. That this is change. It's got to constantly change for you to win, for you to succeed. You got to constantly be changing and moving and changing, and your employees aren't going to be comfortable with that. So they're going to ask you, when are we going to? Why is this? And just as soon as we stop being a business. As soon as I stop paying you a paycheck,
I like this for Nick right here. I like this, it's like a revolving door, hiring nearly everyone who walks in the door. It takes 30 people before one sticks. They're actually good. We hire people and lose them. So again, this requires a shift of focus, and honestly, we'll call this like a bit of faith. That if I do good things, there's actually a movie. What is that? My Name is Earl. Right? I'm going to go out and do good things will come back to me, right?
Yeah.
I've done bad things all my life, but bad stuff's happening. So I'm going to go out and do good things, and hopefully karma will come back. And part of that really is with your employees. If you turn your focus and say, this is the people I care the most about, I will figure out how to, you're not going to give them everything like you would give little kids. You're not going to give them all the candy, but you're going to give them enough good things that will allow your engine of employees. A strong team trumps a strong idea every day of the week.
Yes.
You have to build this strong team. In order to do that, you do as a business owner have to take and set your focus and say, I'm going to figure out who my target is. For me, I'll give you a great example in my world. I hire a lot of, I'll call them underdogs. Maybe you've seen the movie Moneyball. I'm going to hire people who get us on base. So I'm going to hire people. I don't want the person who graduated from the best college. I want the person who graduated from the JC. Or maybe somebody who dropped out of college. I want to hire the person that everybody says no to. And what's going to happen is they come with a bit of a chip on their shoulder that they want to prove to me why this is, and then but then I have to change. Now I'm going to do more training and more mentoring.
Right.
And that requires different work, but now I'm solving a different problem of, cool, I'm a software company with like 80% moms. And even at the management level, I've got a team of people who've never done what we're doing here. And I could sit and complain of going, why don't they know how to do these things? Or I could say, cool, I solved my talent engine. Now I got to solve my training and mentoring engine. What can I do to facilitate this? But I can tell you probably the biggest walk away that you can take right off the bat is the idea that won't work. We're unique. we're different.
Yeah.
So these things won't work for us. Stops you from actually testing and validating ideas.
My town is different. Our market's different. This is we talk, Ryan, guys. We haven't got to how you're recruiting and how great ApplicantPro is. I mean, these are business nuggets of gold. We're talking just how to succeed in business right here, Ryan. That's huge.
But to be honest, we've talked about hiring. We just haven't said the word hiring.
Yeah, that's right.
If you really want to be good at this, it really comes down to those things. Figure out what it is that's going to make an employee base that loves you, that loves working for you. It usually means you're going to have to be different. This is a product development little framework. You need to be different, unique. You need to be compelling, meaning your differences aren't just make you weird. You're not just a freak, but you want to be different in ways that tags into the people you're trying to attract, and it needs to be credible. You need to be good on your word. And if you build that product as a working for me as a product that I sell out to the community, all the rest of recruiting becomes very easy, because you're like, well, if I have a good opportunity of working for me, then we need to write a really good ad that sells it. And we need to advertise ApplicantPro. We can run with that all day long. I can do everything else. My challenge for a lot of my clients is actually the opposite. I give you the platform to use, but then you have a crappy job and you have crappy job ads and you don't give me much to work with. And I can only do so much at pushing to so many job boards, making it so easy to apply. But if I'm just putting lipstick on a pig here, if you actually focus in on what's a good opportunity and how do we write an ad that just screams out to this target market of you should come work for us, you will find all the rest of the stuff I can facilitate applicators, right? I make all of it easy.
I'm laughing because I always ask my guys when I hear the complaint on mass, I just can't find any good help. The first question I always ask guys is, why would anyone want to work for you? You know, why?
Bingo.
Why? I mean, what makes
answer
you
that?
Right.
If you answer that question, everything else becomes easy. And it's withholding the, we don't want to be just like everything. What you do is go to your guys that do work for you and say, why do you stay working for me? Like one of the comments on here was, we have 30 people to get one of them to stick. And so we look at the 29 and go, why are those people so bad? Go to the one and say, why did you decide to work for us? What is it that made you stay? And take those things right there and amplify them, like double down on them. Say, look, if you came to work for us because I gave you 10 days of PTO and you didn't have that before, I'm going to give you 20. I'm going to amplify our weirdness to the point that we stick out like a sore thumb. And what you'll find is you will attract people who love that or crave that when the rest of the market doesn't dare. And that's where you want to be, is in the nobody else dared to do this. Which is what you did with No On Call, right?
Exactly. You know,
nobody else would dare to do it.
They wouldn't do it. In fact, they were dumbfounded by it. You can't do that. And this is why. And guys, we just had one of someone made a comment. I've never heard Richard so quiet. I've never seen Richard so quiet. That's perfect. So Ryan, I got a big mouth. I'm opinionated, and so I'm speaking my word. I'm being quiet here. I'm trying to take it easy here, because Ryan, I want you to hear someone outside the industry saying these things that we talk about. You're hitting right on what we talk about here all the time about trying to think differently. And I hear, that's the big thing is, well, my market's different. My guys are different. I can't find anybody. I can't. We talk about you got to be different. All these things. I love hearing you that you're saying these things, and you don't come from the plumbing industry. So that's my rant. Okay. I love hearing you say those things, Ryan.
No, I think it's, so I actually had a plumber come out. I had a service call come out the other day. Like, my house was jacked up. The main line going into my home, they hadn't sealed it right, and we had to go and cut it up and put an L in it. And he brought out these massive clamp tools to clamp it down. I sat and watched him struggle with clamping these clamps onto the pipe. I'm like, isn't there a better tool for this that you use? And he's like, yeah, but it's super expensive. And so he's sitting there just arduously trying to clamp this stuff down. And I'm like, man, why doesn't this guy's boss buy him a better tool already? Because look at how hard this is to do and how much time he's spending doing it. And so you look at some of those things where it's, it is what it is. It's just how it works. This is what we do. But some of those little things start adding up. And if that is, our benefits, if that is our PTO, if that is being on call, that stuff starts to add up over time. And so if you look at, again, there's a book I read a long time ago about called borrowing brilliance. And so you need to do the opposite of copying people, which really would be copying ideas from far outside the space and saying, how might we use this idea to solve this problem? But it does require right off the bat willingness to just like to be open to something new, to brainstorm an idea. And I'm with you, Richard. You can't shut me up. Any of your guys call me anytime and be like, I want to brainstorm how software can work for plumbing. And I'll go off on, I don't care what it looks like. Because business ideas are like, they're like forces of nature.
Yes.
They just are what they are, regardless of what area you're in. Customer experience is customer experience. There may be different tools that you use, but the concept is a eternal truth.
It ain't about plumbing, guys. It ain't about plumbing.
It ain't about plumbing.
Yep. Business 101, right?
Right.
You steal the ideas and you look at what matters, and what matters is a great customer experience and knowing the customer. And hiring is just the same. It's just a great employee experience. If the experience of an employee working for you makes them feel cared about, makes them feel heard, makes them feel understood, that they know you care about them enough to do what's right, even if it's at your detriment, you will find those people will refer friend after cousin after coworker back to you over and over and over again. But that requires a level of faith that karma will pay you back. And honestly, one of the big one I said, there was one, which is you have to be willing to try it. And two, you have to be willing to not let failure make you switch back. You're still going to have one of those guys that you did a good job for who quits. And you can't I always tell my team, I'm like, there's a level of evil that goes on in this world that I just have to be comfortable with, because if I try to stop it, it will harm all the good.
Yes.
If I try to lock down the ability for any employee to leave me, what will happen will restrict me from finding really good people. So I want to know the risk. I want to mitigate some of it, but I can't let one bad employee make me hate all employees. I can't make one bad fire or one bad hire make me hate all of it. I just have to move forward, learn from it, and move forward with a positive attitude that it will work out. It will pay off. That what I'm doing, I am making a difference in the world, and that it's not always going to be perfect, and I just need to learn and move forward. But if we dwell on those, and we dwell on the negativity, and we make us believe that it won't work, you're right. It's not going to work.
Right.
Is it?
We look at the bad. You can't get wrapped up in the bad. You know, in our thing, we're going through, like right now, we're going through a slow season. And so, I mean, I got guys, kind of panicking a little bit. The phone stopped. Well, it's tax time. You know, my marketing's not working. I need more. This guy, we find you got to go with it. You got to stay with it. You can't let the life that does happen throw you off what is working, and that's just amazing.
For us, in fact, the answer might be to double down on things where you pulled back. We ran our company. We're a hiring company. We've now ran it through 2 recessions, right?
Yeah.
And when a recession happens, everybody stops hiring,
and
everybody pulls back. I don't want to be a hiring software guy in a recession with high unemployment, no jobs. Like, that's a terrible place to be. So everybody pulls back. They pull their money back. They pull going to trade shows back. They pull all this stuff back and say, we're just going to button down the hatches and wait out the storm. And the right thing to do during that is you double down. That's like the time to win business. It's not the time to do business. So you dig out there in your customers and say, you're not spending on, what are you spending money on? What else can we be offering? Who is being underserved in this market? Because when everybody pulls back, it creates a vacuum. And I want to be the guy who steps into the vacuum, right? And so, got to get online reviews from employees just like you do with customers. Yes, because this is just marketing. Hiring's just marketing. And so if you treat your employees well, you ask them to leave reviews, that amplifies it. In the same way that you want customer referrals, we want employee referrals. All of this stuff, patterns. What I usually get is when I explain it all down, like I was just in an auto dealer conference talking about this, and they're like, all this stuff was like right in front of me. How did I miss it? Like, well, because you said it was something different when it's really the same. And so, to us at ApplicantPro, we're like, just listen to our methodology and our platform. We're going to help you facilitate all this, but it does require being willing to accept that it could be good. It could work out. There really are good people out there. Otherwise, I guess you should stop being in the plumbing business and pick a different business to be in if you really believe there's no plumber.
Right.
Why would they keep banging their head against that wall?
Right. But then in that business, they have the same issues. Every business has the same. These are the same issues. So
I love one of the comments just popped up one of the comments just popped up was, I end up letting them go for tardy absenteeism,
Yep, that's Nick.
absences period of time. Let's go.
Hey, Nick.
I'd love to pick their list of qualified applicants. So we talked about a little bit about this before, you and I did. So you have two options of how you run about hiring. If you have high turnover and you have poor quality of hire, a lot of times we play not to lose. We start restricting down the pool. We start making our job ads sound more difficult. We start doing certain things because we're afraid of it. And what actually you should do is the opposite. You need to double down into it and say, well, we need to get better at predicting. And predicting for us is about hiring for culture fit and for personality. I want to hire good people. I'll teach them skills.
We'll talk about that character.
Skills all day long.
Amen.
Yeah,
exactly.
But you can't teach character.
Right.
You can't teach personality. You can't teach character. You can't teach showing up on time to work. You can't teach personal responsibility. That stuff just doesn't get taught. But if you look at your job ad, a lot of times we instantly focus on real qualifications. Do you know how to do X?
Right.
Do you know how to do Y? And so I tend to go the opposite. I want to pull down the qualifications, but use, say, an assessment. We use assessments heavily where we're looking at personality and character type assessments to say, I want to hire really good people, and then I'll figure out how to teach them. Because online courses or training or mentoring or education is way cheaper than trying to teach somebody to have character. And what you'll actually find, again, like if you look at, if you say experience is a premium, then hiring inexperienced people is a huge open market space of people. You'll just have to now solve the how do we teach them problem.
Right.
But trust me, it's way easier to teach people how to do stuff than it is to teach them character or work ethic or personal responsibility. You can't teach that stuff. Not at a late stage in life.
No. Oh man, that's so good. Well, Ryan, we get it. I guess I'm going to say,
yes,
ApplicantPro just sounds so expensive. Can I bring up the money thing?
It must be ridiculous.
This must be really expensive, and there's no way. It's just me and it's me in a truck, Ryan. I can't afford. I can't afford what you're talking about.
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways to go about building a business like what we built. The normal way is you try to target really big businesses because they pay you a lot of money, right? And so you go and you do that. And that means most of our competitors don't want to deal with a 5, 10, 20 employee company because they say you're not worth their time, right? And so they look at it and they're like, you don't use it enough, you're not worth our time, and et cetera, et cetera. So we look at the opposite way. And because I'm a small business guy and I'm a contrarian, I go with the opposite. Like, if you're saying that these people aren't worth your time, then that tells me that's where I should be. Mm-hmm. And so instead, the way we've done it is we've said, look, when we built the system, we started with a price point. We're like, this needs to be cheap. And in order to make it cheap, we're going to have to figure out all the rest. We're going to have to figure out how to, when we started, our competitors took 6 months to roll out a new client. And we can roll out a client in a couple hours. And so that was but they had no incentive to do it because they sold to really big companies and who would pay a giant setup fee. And so we actually went the opposite approach and said, we're going to sell this to small guys no matter what anybody tells me, which means our price point needs to be affordable. It needs to be, under a couple $100 a month, or nobody's going to be able to do this. Nobody's going to be willing to do it. And so we instead went the opposite route and said, we're going to set our price point, and then we're going to figure out how to make a manufacturing line. Just think about this like Henry Ford. He said, I want a car in every driveway. I want to make an affordable car. And so the way he did that was by saying it's going to be the same car over and over and over again. You can have whatever color you want as long as it's black. Right. And so we take the same approach of going, well, if we sell to a whole bunch of plumbers, then we know we can give them a out-of-the-box solution that is customized for plumbing. So we already know the jobs. We know the job keywords that work. We know the ads that work. We know the type of person we're targeting, a lot of this stuff. So we can reduce the amount of customization, which is expensive, but we can actually increase the value to the end customer because we specialized inside of this niche. We've got my sales rep, Jessica. She's just crushing it on plumbers all day long.
She is awesome.
She doesn't need to ask you about your business. She actually probably knows it as well as you do when it comes to hiring. Over time, her knowledge goes through the roof. The system starts to evolve. We're out of the box. We're rolling out a plumbing type hiring solution that allows us to not have setup fees. It allows us to have an immense amount of knowledge that you're actually buying. You're buying our software, but let's be honest, what you're buying is my innovation and my team's knowledge around from our customers. When you've got 6,000 companies, that are all small and mid-sized companies, we got a ton of knowledge here that we wouldn't have if we went upstream. And so by constraining it low and sticking in these niches, that allows us to have price points that are a couple $100 a month, and where we're really looking at saying, look, if you would just listen to us, it makes it way cheaper. It actually is expensive for some of these bigger clients who won't listen to us because we're like, you're constantly complaining about you needing more job boards. It's because you won't rewrite your ad. You have a terrible ad. You just won't listen to us. And with your smaller guys like you guys, it makes it much easier to say, do you trust us that we know what we're doing? Awesome. If you'll implement this and prove me wrong, like I know it's going to work, but if you'll trust that some of this stuff will work, then we can give you out-of-the-box solutions at a much cheaper price that work because we validated them in this services type space. And that's how we constrain this down where there's not really a setup fee, where we can get it rolled out in days. Literally, like you could have jobs up and live tomorrow. You could have applicants flowing right away. We're going to give you step-by-step stuff of saying, look, we need to connect this with your Facebook page. We need you to create a couple logins in, say, Craigslist or something like that. We need to create some of these pieces, but we'll tell you exactly, we need to link from your website, but we'll tell you exactly what to do. I mean, I'll even write the emails for you to give to your web guy. Because it is, awesome. For us, it's a replication thing. This is just the Model T. As long as you're willing to take our approach that we know works, then suddenly we're not reinventing the wheel every time. And that's how you maintain price and yet still have high quality.
Right.
And that's just been a dedication from our side that we said we want to target. Even right now, a lot of companies are going upstream, and you can talk to my team here and they're like, Ryan's trying to drag us to under 100 employees. He's trying to find out the solution for those companies that are 10 to 100, because I know what works for them and nobody wants them.
Yeah.
And if they do, there's
more of those.
For it.
There's way more of those.
Let's be honest, here in America, that is the engine of the economy.
Absolutely.
The future 500 employee companies are these guys that are 10 and 20 and 30 employees, and the success rate is very low because nobody's helping them. And so they're just reinventing the wheel over and over and over again. So
right.
Yeah. So just like
that's why I mean we got hit on to do the big consulting. I mean, there's the big. We know I'm not going to name these companies, but it's $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month for all this stuff, and you don't get, and they're not even necessarily run by plumbers. They come from it's business, okay, and it's good stuff. It's good, but there's nothing for the little guy. We couldn't afford
it in the beginning.
We couldn't afford it, okay, and I know our guys need to know the business stuff, so we've made it almost to where it's so cheap. I got it to where it's like, are you worth it? But we're doing all the same stuff that the big consultants are doing. I just pared it down and made it affordable. Yeah.
Yep, and that's exactly what we get, where people say the same thing. It must not work that good because it's so cheap. How do you offer it that cheap?
Right.
Look, we like an underdog story, so I want my employees to be underdogs because I know the loyalty it creates when it works. I want my clients to be underdogs. I want to go in and make impact. I don't get a lot of value in my life from saying I helped a big giant organization crush.
Amen. We were the same thing. It made me nothing. Okay, I can make these bigger bucks and work with this bit. I didn't, but I get.
We had a text today from one of our plumbing power couples. Right?
Yeah, one of our plumbing power couples texted us and said something, and it said that we changed. They've made some huge strides. They made some huge strides. Made some good money. Service, switching from new construction to service, and the thing, and it just. And that just hits us. That's why we do this. That's more meaningful. And so, and that's why, guys, why I'm attracted to. When we've been looking for a solution, and I teamed up with ApplicantPro. Because we wanted this kind of solution that was affordable, that did all the stuff that big companies pay. When we some of the market, we paid big bucks, but to get this, that you get at this price with these kinds of things, and now you've heard the heart.
No-brainer.
That works for good. That's a good thing, you know.
And you don't have to worry about it because our guys don't have time.
Our guys don't. Right, you don't have times. You don't have to worry about it, and you got to make some change. Like we said, you change things up every once in a while because you can't just have the same. It's like having the same billboard up. After a while they just don't recognize it. But so you got to do that, but you can do it. So we want to check this out. I know you're running. You're running a special for our crew here. Okay, if you're listening.
Yes, I've got the link.
You got the link up.
It's
a 30-day free trial.
Pinned. Yes.
Okay. And so you can type demo. You can type demo in the comments.
You can type demo, DEMO, as in demonstration.
There we go. Demo in the comments. So if you're listening to the podcast, what is it? www.ApplicantPro.com/MDP.
As in $1 Million Plumber.
Trial. You know, and so check it out. I mean, there's no hard. These guys aren't hard. So look at it. He's a nice guy.
He's a nice
you know,
guy.
Jessica
Jessica's
I mean, there's
wonderful.
no hard push here.
That's right.
But for basically about $100, guys, you can't afford not to do it. If you're not doing it, if you're not constantly,
You're gonna die.
you're gonna die. Well, I think it goes. I'm not gonna go there, but you're gonna die. Okay, it's a no-brainer. This is a no-brainer.
It is a no-brainer.
You know,
so get out
and
there.
I know we didn't get into how really easy this is and your process and how you walk it through.
We will have him back on.
You know,
We'll have him back
we're
on.
gonna have Ryan back on. 'Cause
Yeah.
There's a
Well,
lot,
to be
a
honest,
lot here.
but again, a lot of that stuff gets really, again, part of why I do it clearly is very similar to you. I like the underdog story. I like lifting that up. But the other piece is a lot of the stuff that I come to the table with is stuff that those bigger companies are afraid to implement. So we almost need some people that are like, hey, my back's against the wall. I don't know how else to do this except for try something different. I'm like, that's my guy right there. Cool.
Ryan,
Give me
I take
guy.
that. Oh, Ryan.
Oh, it works.
I love you, brother. Because that's exactly I can talk this when I take on my personal private clients. I'm looking for desperation. Do they feel a little desperate? Do I hear some desperation, but still have fight in them? I'm willing to do what you just tell me what to do, and I'll do it, coach. But they have to have. I'm a little desperate because if they're just comfortable, they're not going to do the things that needs to be done. Okay.
It's true.
Yeah.
And so I love that you said
Yeah,
that.
and that's really it. Yeah, and that's what I'm looking for because we've got the programs just like you do. We know what you do or what you can do that's different, but it does require, like you said, desperation but hunger. Where you're like, I want to solve this problem, but I don't know what else to do or where else to go, where we can go, cool, how about we try something different? Let's try the exact opposite of what everybody's doing. Let's stop doing on-call. Let's break this job in half and do 2 separate jobs. Let's do some of these things that sound crazy, but because we don't have anything to lose really, our employee base is small, it's not going to blow up our whole company by trying something different. We can create a new job and test it out. We can tell our team we're testing it.
And you're small,
and
so you can move quick. You can move. It doesn't work out. You move next month. You do it different.
Change it.
And so, for us, I just don't have the patience to try to steer a big ocean liner, right? So I kind of want to find some guys who want to run and wave runners around. And I can be like, hey, let me jerk on the steering wheel a little bit here and let's see what happens.
That's right. Here we go.
That happens. And if you'll give me that ability to experiment or that willingness to try some of our things, then we find they work. And trust me, if they don't work, tomorrow I'm going to have a new iteration on it. And again, in the same way that I just preached to you guys, where I said, what makes you powerful in your market space is that you as the CEO understand these customers. Well, that's also why you want to work with me and not ADP. Because trust me, you're never going to meet the CEO of ADP or a product person, or you're never going to meet anybody, or at ZipRecruiter or any of those guys, or at Indeed. But dude, I'll come and take you out to lunch and we'll nail down this problem and we'll solve it. I'll get on the phone. You can call me or text me. Because to me, I'm not solving your problem. I'm solving this entire group of underserved, small, struggling plumber groups that are trying to figure out the solution to it.
Right.
And inside of that solution is a nugget that will drive some differentiation, something that's unique. And to me, something that's interesting because I solved a problem for somebody. I solved a problem that nobody else could solve. I solved a problem that nobody else wanted to solve or nobody else dared to solve. And those are the good ones. I just respond very differently. You tell me it can't be done, like give me that project. I'm all over that project all day long.
Cool.
But again, we back up our stuff as far as contract wise. We're not signing long-term contracts. Even if you pay for a year, you can back out anytime. We'll give you our money back. We stand behind what we're doing because at the end of the day, if it's not working, A, we don't want you paying us money if it doesn't work. And B, we want to know it's not working so we don't fix it.
Right.
That's just not what we want. What we want to do is we want to know that if you give us money, you're getting value. In fact, to me personally, I want to make sure that the value is so high that you can never say that I did anything wrong. It's such an application of return that you could never say, well, Ryan, he gave us like $100 of value for $100. It's going to be 1,000, or I don't want your money.
Well, there's a lot. I know there's a lot, and there's so much there. We haven't even covered it. And Ryan, we're about running out of time here, but will you come back on again? Can we have you back
anytime
on?
You want.
Yep, and we'll get into some details here. But I want to drive everybody, to type demo in the comments.
Demo.
Or, we got the link to the site as well, okay?
Yes, we do.
So, but we're going to have on, guys, this is a no-brainer. So, hey, Ryan, thank you for all your time. I know you're busy. And thank for your time you spend with us. Great stuff. Nuggets of gold, as I call it. And again, thanks for being on, man.
For sure.
Thanks
a lot.
Thanks
Take care,
so
man.
much.
Look forward to seeing you again.
Yep.
All right. There we go, Mr. Ryan Kohler. All right, founder, president, ApplicantPro. Hey, guys, it's a no-brainer. Just do it. It's a no-brainer, okay? Type demo in the comments or go to www.applicantpro.com/MDP trial, okay? It's a 30-day free trial, okay? Just check it out, all right? And for basically $100, it's a cup of coffee a day, all right?
And think about how much you struggle over even trying to write an ad, right? And what do we say in a help wanted ad?
Right, it's right. Guys, it's a no-brainer. Just do it. If you could listen, just do it. Just do it. All right, I know you're constantly hiring, looking for new customers, and you're constantly recruiting. What do we have here, Patrick? Back to the drawing board. Need to up my game with ApplicantPro. Lots of great nuggets learned today.
Awesome.
That's right, Patrick. Thank you.
Thanks,
There's
Patrick.
a smart guy. Okay.
He's a smart guy.
Plumbing power couple there. I know they'll do it. They'll be all over. They're the types. That's why they're winning.
Expect a phone call tomorrow.
Right. All right.
Ryan. Yeah.
GB. All right. Hey, yeah, you do it, guys. And then, we didn't even get talking about it. Just listen, go back and listen to what he was saying. I love it. Someone outside of our industry. Some of this stuff sound familiar about thinking differently, okay? And as little guys, there's a great opportunity. You just got to think about things differently, okay?
And that's why you listen to other podcasts and other things, business things. You'll always pick up little nuggets, even if it's not plumbing. You'll pick up some nuggets.
Exactly. So there we have it. All right. So do it.
Okay.
Just do it.
Hey, Plumbing Pro.
Whoops. You know
All
what?
right.
Look
Hey,
at that.
enough of that guy. Get that guy off.
$1 million plumber.
All right. What's that all
How to
about?
win the plumbing
Okay.
I don't know, but that's not who we
All the right
want. Hold
moves.
on.
You gotta
Hey,
make
while you're seeing that, though,
plumbing
type
entrepreneur.
3 in the comments
Hey,
to get
Plumbing
your
Pro,
free
are you struggling to
playbook.
win with your
Okay.
plumbing business?
Yeah.
My
Is there a
way you can
$1
shut that guy up?
playbook. How to win.
Okay, so try to close things here.
I'm trying to shut that guy
All
up.
right. So yeah.
Who is that guy and how
Who
did
is
he
that
get on
guy?
here?
All right. Hey, but yeah, get your free playbook as well. Okay, that 10-video e-course. All right, type free in the comments or go to www.freeplaybooknow.com to get that. So there's something else free for you. Okay. Also, reminder, type 5 to subscribe to Potty Talk Live. Or what? You gonna die too.
Die.
All right. So to be, you never want to miss an episode like this one. So you can get notices with these episodes, and you can go back and look at past episodes.
Yep.
Tons of gold there. Lots of nuggets of gold there for you. Okay. This was a great one, guys.
It was awesome.
This is great. You need to constantly be in a state of recruiting. Okay.
Yep.
You want a culture of now hiring. Okay. You need those assets coming in and out. Okay. All right. But as always, before I do let you go here,
Flush
I
in
want to
this
remind
episode.
you that you were purposely and wonderfully created. You were created to do great things. Yes, you were. So plumb like a champion.
Thank you for tuning into Potty Talk Live with Richard Behney, the $1 Million Plumber. If you enjoyed this show, share it now. To catch past episodes and get alerts for new episodes, type 5 in the comment section now.
Just do it.
And join us again for more tips, techniques, and strategies to help you grow your plumbing business.